Hi there, I'm Cynthia Marchese. Thank you for the opportunity to present my video prompt for the Director of Human Resource position at Midland Public Schools. Here is the agenda of the items that we will cover throughout the presentation today. Let's get started with my story, my educational background, and my professional experience. First, I would just like to say I am from Midland, and I am deeply vested in this community. My educational background consists of earning my bachelor's degree from Northwood University here in Midland. My degree is in business management and marketing, and my master's degree is in organizational leadership and administration from Concordia University. You'll see from my resume that I began my HR career in 2004 with the Midland Public Schools. I started there as the Human Resources Administrative Assistant and was then moved into the Manager of Human Resources position, and eventually the Director of Human Resources. I spent 15 years of my 20 years in education HR with the Midland Public Schools. I was then presented with the opportunity to expand my HR knowledge by working with the Lesk Albertson law firm, providing human resources services to school districts across the state of Michigan. Shortly thereafter, I found myself working for the Linden Community Schools, and I was their first official HR director. And then I was later recruited to the Bay City Public Schools as the HR director and later as the associate superintendent for human resources, where I spent the last 4 years of my career. My K-12 experience includes really the entire HR life cycle, from recruiting to hiring to termination, from probationary teachers to tenure teacher status, from disciplinary actions to improvement plans, from bargaining prohibited subjects out of contracts back in 2012 to bargaining versions of those subjects back into contracts most recently, from financial woes to financial stability, and pretty much everything you can think of in between, or maybe not think of. Anyways, I am very involved in school associations across the state of Michigan, from the MASA to MSBO, MNA, and MASPA. I've even held some positions on the board of MNA. The Midland Public School vision and mission is really what created me and made me who I am today. In all of my experience, I've prided myself on building trust and relationships with varying stakeholders. And at times this comes very easily and naturally, while others are a challenge to develop and maintain. But through it all, we make sure that we respect and trust each other. And respect and trust is what guides my communication when I engage with all levels of staff. And the courage, that's key. This shows up for me when I take action to improve policies, to advocate for our employees, to advocate for students, or to change practices that no longer serve our mission. Sometimes you get encouraging reminders from other colleagues, former colleagues, that you're doing what's right, and you always land on the right side of things. That's what really keeps you going in this business. Regarding equity and inclusion, well, in education, I believe it starts with hiring. I've worked for years to diversify the applicant pools by building relationships with teacher preparation programs throughout local, state, and out-of-state colleges and universities, including HBCUs. Recently, while not in the field of education, I was selected to be a part of the task force with the State of Michigan Diversity Recruiting Program, where we're currently revamping the program to be more creative with our approach to recruiting civil engineers given the recent developments at the federal level. I share all of these experiences as I believe they broaden our visibility and make us employers more accessible to the underrepresented candidates. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about creating welcoming systems, clear pathways to leadership, and a staff that reflects and celebrates the inclusion of all students that we serve. And I have firsthand experience with what meaningful inclusion looks like, especially as I'm a mother of a special needs child who receives the best services through the Midland Public School programs. Now we'll talk about the next hot topic, Earned Sick Time Act, ESTA. This law came into effect in another form back in 2018 and was recently revamped to include accrued time for certain leave reasons, given language on how this can be used, and requirements for doctor's notes. So the Earned Sick Time Act provides 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours an employee works. This can accrue to up to 72 hours per year. They can use these leave reasons for personal or family illnesses, for preventative care, and for school or public health closures. The Act permits use for 1 hour increments of sick time, and it also prohibits retaliation or penalties for using this leave. When it comes to doctor's notes, employers may request reasonable documentation for absences that are greater than 3 consecutive days. Oftentimes, this will come at the cost of the employer, not the employee. We'll move into negotiations of the collective bargaining agreements. So 2 groups will be required at the expiration of the contract to be bargained. Language will remain the same until this time. To comply with ESTA, there will be a need to remove language that conflicts with the law, and there will be a need to add language to ensure employees can use their ESTA leave for ESTA purposes. The first CBA that I looked at was MCESPA. This contract expires in September of 2025. It's important to again point out that this current contract language applies through September of 2025. There are areas of the contract in the current language that currently align with ESTA accrual requirements and the accumulation or carryover without limitation language. The other areas of bargaining need to be reviewed to comply with a new law. Some of those items include negotiating a successor agreement to remove any language that conflicts with the law, to allow for at least 1 hour increment flexibility for use, review and revise language on the sick leave call-in procedures and requirements, to review payout language for unused time, as the law now requires the employees to be compensated at their current rate of pay. Removal of language regarding allowing sick days to be used the year after they have been earned. Removal of language disallowing sick leave for use of routine appointments such as dentist appointments, routine doctor's appointments or exams, or office calls. Revise language related to requiring medical certification, especially at the employee's expense. And then we'll move over to the MFP CBA. So this is a paraprofessional group, and it's also important to note that this contract language applies through June 2026. So there are areas of the current contract that align with ESTA, and that includes the accrual requirements and the accumulation or carryover without limitation. This is for both full and part-time paraprofessionals. The areas for bargaining to comply with a new law might include negotiating terms for the successor agreement to remove any contract language that conflicts with ESTA, allow for at least 1 hour increment flexibility. Employees are not required to find their own replacement when they're using ESTA. Employees who have front-loaded banks under this collective bargaining agreement may need to add language regarding proration of this time based on the employee's termination date. Expand language to cover family members outlined in ESTA, and the removal of language disallowing sick leave for use of routine appointments such as dentist appointments, routine doctor's exams or appointments, and office calls. And revise language related to requiring medical certification, especially at the employee's expense. So that concludes my presentation. And with that, I want to just emphasize that I do have a track record of leadership a really deep knowledge of employment law and school HR, and I have a personal and lived passion for inclusion. I believe I'm uniquely prepared to step into this role again and help Midland Public Schools continue growing as an equitable, trusted, and high-performing district. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I would be so honored if I could return to this district and serve once again. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Hope to talk to you soon, and have a great day.